Hello there guys, it's me Unstable Voltage and welcome to the second episode of Hearts of Iron 4. We are playing as the United Kingdom. This is my first game and I'm still trying to work out what I am doing. One of the things we probably do need to do is get ourselves some more troops or some more infantry produced. So we can go ahead and do that using the recruit and deploy button. So we could get, at the moment, we have the option to get infantry divisions, cavalry brigades and tank brigades. If we go and look at our division designer, so this is something that I haven't really messed around with at all. It's not actually explained in the tutorial. So we can choose what type of division we want. So let's say we want to have an infantry division. We can go ahead and change the symbol for them if we want, which is quite nice. We can duplicate and replicate and save them. So it requires experience. So you need experience to change a template. Okay, that's understandable. And you can start whether these guys are reserves or whether they are elite. So I guess that means they cost more or less to produce. There's got to be an advantage to doing that. So you can add additional units. So like we could add anti-air or artillery to these divisions. And we could also add things like mobile battalions and armoured battalions. Okay, that's quite interesting. And then we can also add engineering companies. What do engineers actually give us? So engineering companies increase our defense and breakthrough, increase our soft and hard attack. They are good for entrenchment. Not quite as organised. And obviously it costs extra production cost to add engineers to the group. And then we could add support for the anti-air, recon companies, and support for the artillery. And then the other one's locked. So we can't really mess around with any of this at the moment as we don't have any experience. So let's go ahead and train up an infantry division if we can afford to. So we can actually do that. We haven't set them a location yet. How many can we afford to train? Right, that's pretty much used up all of our available manpower. So let's go ahead and drop these guys in a couple of our provinces. Now then, what we want to do is go ahead and select all of our units. And I'm very, very happy that Paradox have done the same thing they did with EU4. You drag a box around everything and it doesn't select the ships. It only selects the land divisions. So what we'd like to do is actually get these guys on exercises because at the moment they're not earning any experience. So let's go ahead and add them to an army. They're now part of an army. They don't have a commander, but we could go ahead and give them one. Let's go and just throw them under the control of a general. So one thing I've learned about the different leaders you have for your armies, you have generals and field marshals. Field marshal is the highest rank in the British Army, and general is the rank below. You can promote generals to field marshals. The difference between them is if you have a general leading an army, a general can only command 24 battalions, which is why this says 19 of 24, because this guy's a general. If we were to replace him with a field marshal, the field marshal has no limit on the amount of troops they can actually command. The problem is, well, it's not a problem, but I believe that generals do get some bonuses that field marshals do not. So there is a, I can't remember what the exact thing is now, but there's definitely a rule why you want to have generals preferably. So if we click this, we'll start an exercise with this army. The units will consume equipment while gathering experience, and your country will also gain army experience from each unit whose experience level is at least 2. Okay, so let's get our armies all exercising. It doesn't matter that they're all sort of split up all over the place. A division belongs to an army but has no orders assigned. And they're actually getting attrition. They're getting attrition because they're exercising, but that's fine. So they don't really have any orders assigned, but I don't think they need orders assigned. Because it is literally just exercising. So they should all be gaining experience now. As it says, this army is currently exercising. Can we see any experience going up? Where is our experience on these guys? So we can see experience. Let's go and have a look at the 53rd Welsh Infantry Division. So if we click on these guys, can we get any information about you? There we go. And can we see what your... We can see the template, the fairly default template. Can we see what your experience is anywhere? So base stats, so that's experience loss, miss stats, combat stats. No, I can't actually see what their experience is unless I'm missing it completely. They are gaining some attrition. Now, of course, this means they're going to be using equipment, and you can see that our infantry is woefully under-equipped at the moment, which is not good. So let's just go and have a look at our production at the moment. We need to go to the top of this list, because we want to see... Yeah, we need 16,000 weapons at the moment. We're making 44 per day. We could stop manufacturing some of the stuff that we don't really need to do. One thing I am curious about, can we actually get aircraft to exercise? Create new air wing. I think it's only your... Let's just go ahead and do that. No, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm fairly certain that it's only the land armies that can exercise, which is fine. So... How are we doing on this? Are we actually gaining any, or is it going down? Yeah, equipment from this line is currently being used for reinforcement. Now, what we can do is we can go into recruit and deploy, and we could say, look, we want to prioritize reinforcements over upgrades at the moment. So we can set that priority for... I mean, we've also got 2 new units here that are training, and these new divisions are going to need equipment as well. So that's why we suddenly have a massive deficit, which we didn't have at the start of the game. So I think at the moment we'll just leave it as it is, and hopefully we will start to make some. So 16,058 deficit. We'll see if that goes up. Let's go ahead and increase the game speed up to speed 3. Yeah, the deficit is going down, so we are starting to manufacture more, although it is very slow going. 275 needed on the support equipment. Yeah, it is sort of going in the wrong direction. Do we have any more factories available? Doesn't look like we do. Let's just pause there because King George V died. So we've now already lost that 15% national unity bonus. So I'm glad that I went for the national focus that I did. His Majesty King George V, King of the United Kingdom and the British Dominions and Emperor of India, has passed away. His quiet, calm devotion to his subjects saw the Empire through both the Great War and the Great Depression. His own son will assume the mantle as King Edward VIII, but there are already concerns that he will be too independent of thought. Stanley Baldwin and Neville Chamberlain are preparing to ensure that he will accept direction from the Prime Minister and Cabinet. May he rest and peace. So remove the national spirit of King George V, gains national spirit Edward VIII, which grants weekly national unity of minus 0.1%. So we're actually going to start ticking down on this now, while we have that king in command, which is not great for us. It's not fantastic news. So we are using some of our factories to build light tanks and to build fighters, and we've already fulfilled all of the ones we need. We could cancel these production lines and use some of our military factories. Are we working on more military factories? We want this tab here, don't we? So we don't actually have any military factories queued up right now. Maybe we do want to get ourselves a few more. So let's just go and have a look and see where we could get some military factories. Let's say that we want to try and keep some of our factories up to the north, because ideally we want them out of bomber range and naval invasion range and things like that. So we'll go ahead and put some of these factories in. We can do Cornwall and Gloucestershire as well. And then I think what I'd like to do is move at least one of these up to the top. It'd be nice if there was an easier way to drag these up, especially when you have an absolutely massive production queue full of stuff. It's very, very difficult to get one of these up. Or maybe I am missing something. Maybe you can just drag it up. No, apparently not. Shift click to make it highest priority. Ah, there we go. So that puts you right at the top. So let's go ahead and just put some of these military factories higher up. Get those completed and we'll be able to work on our production a little bit more quickly. We are starting to fill some of these out. I'm almost thinking about cancelling some of these for the time being. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. We'll cancel the bombers and the fighters for the time being, and we'll make sure that we are supplying our infantry. So we don't have 100% production efficiency now because we have added more factories to the production line. So it's going to take a little bit of time for those factories to sort themselves out. And when we get more factories, we'll be able to speed things up even more. I could go ahead and cancel this production of light tanks, but I don't think we really need to do that right now. So our soldiers must actually be gaining experience because we can see our army experience is going up. So from exercises, we are gaining 0.042 experience daily, and experience is capped at 500. Now we are into February, so we are having some bad weather, as we often do in Great Britain. It's pretty terrible. There's London. The Thames is the wrong shape. It is not a straight line. London also looks quite small. I'm sure it's more than about 10 by 10 blocks. But I suppose there's only so much you can cram into a small map. See, we've also got a point down there. That's actually classed as Northern England, but I think that's the Isle of Man. My geography is terrible. We also have a naval base down here on the Isle of Wight as well. So can we tell what's going on in the world if we have a look over at the diplomacy? Most people still seem to like us. Now we do actually have some political power. Could we go over to the United States and go, hey, be our friend? So we can improve relations with them. It will cost 10 political points to start improving relations, and it will cost us 0.2 a day. Do you know what? Let's go ahead and do that. Because having America on our side is going to be absolutely vital for us. I wonder if your actual armies, generals get any experience. I don't believe that they do. But I could be wrong. It's happened before. We still have low manpower. Our manpower is increasing. We'll probably have to try and find ourselves some sort of technology or national focus that allows us to start recuperating manpower, because that is actually very, very low. We've got plenty of convoys. We're hardly using any of them. I'm surprised, given the vast amount of steel that we're outputting, that we're not selling that to anybody else. As you can see, our national unity is starting to tick down, so we do need to try and get out of that slump. How is our research going? Well, mechanical computing is going to take a while. That's not the worst thing. What have we got here? The remilitarization of the Rhineland. Several German divisions recently advanced into the Rhineland, marking the first time since the end of the Great War that Germany has forces positioned west of the Rhine. This is a clear violation of the Treaty of Versailles, under which Germany is forbidden from militarizing the region. The French seem content to limit their response to this breach to diplomatic objections, and public opinion in Britain is firmly against the war. So we will issue an objection as well. So we gain protest action, and our opinion of the German Reich is minus 25%. That is fine. World tension is now up to 2%. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. National focus complete. Reinforce the Empire. Brilliant. So we need a new national focus now. So we went for this one here, reinforce the Empire. So what we can now do is go for this service overseas, and that will give us plus 5 army experience and plus 25 air and navy experience. I think that's probably the best one to go for. Although home defense would be quite nice. It would give us some coastal forts. Some free coastal forts as well. Might be nice. Is there anything else that would really be useful? Civilian factories, not all that great. See, a lot of these ones on this side require a certain amount of world tension before we can really do anything anyway. Not all of them, but certainly a few of them do. So it's not necessarily a good idea wasting time going into this yet. So I think we'll go for that service overseas just to get the extra experience. That'll allow us to put together some better unit compositions. We are still gaining experience with our army. Of course, we are slowly, very, very slowly catching up on production with our infantry equipment and support equipment. If it comes to a point where we really are starting to lag behind, then we might stop the guys from exercising for a while just to allow that to catch back up again. So increase the amount of ships left to produce. So every time you create a regiment, or a division I should say, when you create a division, divisions are created up here, and you tell them that you want them to deploy. So where does it tell me how these guys are doing? Because they're not deployed yet. We've told them where we want them to deploy. Yeah, they have 0% equipment. So we've got 2 new regiments here that don't have any equipment at all, because all of the equipment that's being produced is going on reinforcements. So what we could do is we could prioritize these new regiments instead of prioritizing the reinforcements. But that's fine, it doesn't really matter too much. We have free dockyards. Of course, we got some free dockyards from that national focus. We only have one. We only have one spare. So let's go ahead and put you on... let's go work on some more battle cruisers. We've got the spare oil coming in, so it is fine to do that. You don't have a production efficiency with dockyards. That's absolutely fine. So as I was saying, when you produce new infantry units through the recruit and deploy, you choose what province they spawn in or what state they spawn in. When you are producing ships and aircraft, they automatically go into, ships automatically go into a naval base, and aircraft automatically just go into a reserve pool, which are then used when you get the air wing to do something. So what about air wings? How many fighters do we have? We've got 216 fighters standing by here. What about down in London? We've got some tactical bombers down here in London. We could go ahead and... So we have a limit of 1,000 aircraft in the East Midlands. We have a limit of 2,000 aircraft in the Greater London area. I'm still certain that we can't actually do anything with them until we are at war. So this is the thing that I've got to get used to. It's like, well, what do you do when you're not at war? And we can't really be at war at the moment. We are not a nation that can just decide we are going to go and fight somebody. It's because, you know, we're supposed to be the good guys, as it were, in this campaign. How are relations going with the United States? So things are improving. Their opinion of us is currently at 90. I think it's just some sort of rounding issue there, which is why one's saying 89 and another one's saying 91. Either that or it just hasn't updated yet. Yeah, it is at 91. We have 3 military factories. We only have 1. We definitely want to put you on to infantry equipment. Again, production efficiency has dropped slightly, which it will do. We do have some new factories in the queue, so these shouldn't take too long to do. It's definitely going to be useful getting as many military factories as possible. We do need a little bit of a war machine going. Let's put another one closer to the top as well. In fact, I think I've just made that one the highest priority, which I don't. I want that one to be the highest priority because it's already got 50% of the progress done, so we might as well leave that going. How are our trades doing? So we have a total of 38 civilian factories, 16 are used to produce consumer goods, leaving us with 22 available. We only have 1 trade. We are trading with the United States for oil in order to make our ships. Now, you don't actually need to have the... You don't actually need to have the resource in order to build that item. So at the moment, we are building ships. Ships, I think, are the only things we're making that use oil. In fact, the light tanks do as well. Now, if we had a deficit of oil, we would still continue to produce everything, but we'd just produce it more slowly, which might not even be a terrible thing because we don't really need all that stuff at the moment anyway. At least I don't think we do. I've never played before, so I don't really know. World news: the Spanish Civil War. The civil war has erupted in Spain. Several generals seeking to overthrow the current government in Madrid have issued a pronunciamiento, and a large portion of the Spanish armed forces have answered their call to arms. This right-wing nationalist faction has occupied much of Spain, including the overseas territories. Loyalist forces and volunteers have assembled under the left-wing Republican government, determined to resist the push to the last breath. The battle for Spain has begun. What will this mean for Spain? So, nationalist Spain has declared war on Spain. Okay. Ooh, yes. So that's quite nasty. So Spain has been sort of fragmented down there. Now it says that also includes the overseas stuff, yeah. So most of this stuff down here belongs to nationalist Spain now. So what does this mean for Spain? Because we've got nationalist Spain and Republican Spain. And how do either of those like us? So we want... let's look in Europe. So is it just under Spain? Nationalist Spain don't like us, we don't like them. Republican Spain don't like us, and we don't like them. It'd be nice if Ireland liked us. They've only got 3 provinces, but them liking us could be useful. So, service overseas is costing us what? Now, the reason it says service overseas -1, that's because that is our current, what's this thing called? Our focus, our national focus. Our national focus costs us 1 diplomatic power per day, which is why our political power, which is why our political power is showing -1. And then, of course, we're spending 0.2 per day to improve our relations with America. Now, what we'd like to do is get up to about 150, and then we can potentially add a... is it the Quartermaster General? No. War Industrialist. So we can add a War Industrialist, which will increase our military factory production speed by 10%, which would be very, very nice. What else could we potentially get? I don't think we need to really worry about anything else here right now. It's a bit of a shame that our national unity is coming down. I don't know if we've got any way that we could boost that up. Political power gain plus 15%, daily fascism support, political power gain, ideology drift defense. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything we can do to help with that. We've got another free military factory, so let's keep piling these into the infantry equipment for the time being, because that's where we are falling behind. And again, it's reducing the efficiency. So our production efficiency is only 46... Oh, let me just pause that because stuff's happened. So our production efficiency is only 47.1%, and it's increasing by 1.7% per week. Now, production efficiency cap is currently 55%. And if we... but that's because we've completed a tech. It was 50%, but we've just completed basic machine tools. So now we'll actually be able to tease an extra 5% efficiency out of our factories. Of course, every time we add another factory to a production line, it does reduce the efficiency for a while, but then it ticks back up. So we've finished service overseas, and we've finished basic machine tools, and we've finished support weapons. All fantastic things to finish. So let's go ahead and start working on another technology. We could start working on synthetic oil experiments because we don't actually have oil ourselves. Producing our own could be very, very useful. And we probably want to do that because we are playing as a United Kingdom. We're going to rely very heavily on armoured divisions, on planes and ships. And the problem with importing our oil from America is if we're relying on American supply lines, then we've got to work out a way to protect those supply lines. So being able to produce our own oil could be very, very useful. And I think that might be something that we have to go with. Some of these lines here are mutually exclusive, so you go down this one or you go down this one, you can't choose both. So there's a few techs that are like that. I think getting synthetic oil here is a good idea. And we've got another spare one over here that we could get. So some of these technologies are ahead of time, so researching them is not necessarily a good idea because it's more expensive. But we could go and start working on things like paratroopers and marines. That's certainly not a bad idea. What about our armour? So we could work on the Vickers. So we've got the Vickers 2 and we've got the Vickers. Why would we want one more than the other? Heavy tank destroyer. Light tank destroyer. So these are a little bit heavy for dealing with heavier tanks. I mean, we might want to just stick with the tanks we've got. We could start working on that. We've got artillery. Anti-tank could be useful. I think we're actually going to go in and get the... we've got anti-air. Let's go ahead and get some artillery. So we'll start working on that. And we need to choose a new national focus again, because we've already finished the one that we were working on. So that's unlocked 2 branches. So we can encourage colonial elite, which gives National Spirit Colonial Elite, which grants minus 5% research time. Nice. Or we can go for Mediterranean Bastion, which will give us 2 coastal forts and 2 naval bases in Alexandria. And that leads to more stuff as well. I think we will go with the... I'm sort of going down almost a sort of a political route here. Commonwealth ties, hold in Hong Kong, Singapore Treaty, fortify East Asia. Yeah, let's go ahead and encourage colonial elite. We'll go ahead and make a start on that one. But we've gone well over time here, so I'm going to end the video there. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you are still enjoying Hearts of Iron 4. I'll see you on the next video. And until then, goodbye for now.